Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the second shelf. It's almost November, and you all know what that means. It's Nonfiction November, and I'm excited. Can you tell? Nonfiction November is an event, a month-long event organized by Olive from a book Olive, and I will leave her announcement video down below. And she also has a TBR video, suggestion video, and she has been organizing Nonfiction November for 7 years. And I've been on Booktube for I think 5 years now, and I've always done Nonfiction November. You know I suck at readathons, but Nonfiction November is easy. The only thing you have to do in order to participate is to read one nonfiction book. But it's, of course, for people like me who already read a fair amount of nonfiction. And I talked about it in my Friday reads that at the moment except for Buddyreads, I read mainly nonfiction. It's still, you try to read even more nonfiction. And I love nonfiction. Olive always comes up with one-word prompts, 4 of them. This year it's collection, industry, treatment, style and treatment. And then, she tells you in her announcement video how you could interpret it. And my shtick for Nonfiction November and the prompts is that I have a stack of books that I'm planning on reading in November. And then I sort of make them fit into the prompts, like you're fitting a round hole into a square peg or something. And that gives me so much pleasure. And I know that Olive doesn't mind that I really butcher her prompts, because I think she likes it when, you take your, you take some liberty with the prompts. And it's one of the most fun thing for me to do to prepare for Nonfiction November. So let's see how I did this year. The first prompt is collection. And for me, I thought, okay, collection is more than one. That's for sure. So buddy reads. More than one reader. So I have 4 books planned as buddy reads, all nonfiction. And those 4 I will read for, actually 5, but we will come to that a little later. So these 4 that I will mention here are for the prompt collection, because it's more than one reader. And the first one is a modern classic from 1941, Rachel Carson, Under the Sea Wind, in this really, really nice Penguin Classics edition. And I will be reading this with Heidi from my reading life. So Rachel Carson was born in 1905 or something and died in the early 1960s. And she was a marine biologist and is a modern classic in nature writing. And I have never read her. Yes, shame on me. But I came to nature writing pretty late, I would say maybe a year ago, thanks to Heidi and Doris from All the Books, because they read a lot of nature writing, and then they have the Book Naturalist book club, and I started to explore that genre, and I started to really, really love it. So this one is about sea creatures. Did I say published in 1941? Probably not. Not a very big book, and I'm really, really looking forward to that. And I should stop saying that, because I pick the books and look forward to it. Otherwise I wouldn't pick them now, would I? Anyway, the next one is a buddy read with Joe Smith, whom you all know as a commenter, and that is another memoir. Not that the first one was a memoir, but I have just finished a memoir. Penelope Lively, Life in the Garden, published in 2017. And Penelope Lively is an author that I think I read 1 or 2 books, Moon Tiger and another one. So she's a fiction writer. And it's one of those authors that the first book was okay, but not like wow. And then you always have in the back of your mind, I want to explore more of her work. And when Joe suggested this one as a buddy read for Nonfiction November about gardens and about Penelope Lively's gardens that she experienced in her childhood in Cairo, but also the gardens now in England, and if she incorporates, if I understand it correctly, also literature where garden plays a big role. So that's my perfect combination, an author that I want to explore. It's nature writing, and it has books in it. It talks about books. So I will be reading this. I think we start in the second half, yes, on the 19th. The next buddy read is Nomadland by Jessica Bruder, and that was also published, I think, I was doing so well, also 2017. Yes, I was pretty sure, and then I sort of, it threw me, and anyway, and this is unfortunately, I don't like it normally to buy books with movie pictures, because this is from the movie Nomadland, which came out earlier this year. Jessica Bruder is exploring a part of society, US society, people who have no home, or at least no fixed home. So they go in a trailer from, workplace to workplace. They work seasonally, and it's supposed to be quite a big portion, a bigger portion than I knew of. I haven't seen the movie yet. It's already available, I think, on Amazon Prime or Netflix, but I wanted to read the book first. And I will be reading this with Sandy from Miss Reads a Lot. And you will find all the channels for my buddy reads down below, if they have channels. Joe doesn't have a channel. And the next one had a channel, but maybe will return, but I'll leave the Instagram link down below, and that is, I'm not Anne Dillard, but I'm reading this with Adam, Living by Fiction by Annie Dillard, published in 1983. And Annie Dillard is the same type of author for me as Penelope Lively. I read one other book about writing by her. I started the most famous one, The Tinker Creek. Didn't really get into it, and that was years and years ago, before I explored all the nature writing things. So, and then she's also always in the back of my mind, yeah, maybe I should try more of her work. And so Adam suggested this as a buddy read, because he really loves Annie Dillard's work. So maybe this will get me more into Annie Dillard's other books. Who knows? Anyway, so these were the 4 books, buddy reads, that I will be reading for the prompt collection. So the next prompt is industry. And my take on industry on this prompt, in order to fit these 2 books in, was industry, industrious, hard labor, a goal that is hard to achieve, or a political topic that is laborious because we just don't get anywhere. Yeah, and both books fit. And the first one is this, Paola Ramos, Finding Latinx, in Search of the Voices, Redefining Latino Identity, published last year. And I was planning on reading this for Latinx Heritage Month and didn't get to it. So it moved to the pile for Nonfiction November. It's an exploration, just what it says on the tin. It's an exploration. She travels through the country, the US, and she talks to Latinx people, how they define their Latinx identity, the issues that they have. And I am trying to educate myself more about the Latinx community, reading more Latinx literature, and I failed abominably during Latinx Heritage Month. So this will be on the top of my pile of books that I have to read by myself. And so is the next one, and that is about feminism. Against White Feminism by Rafia Zakaria, published earlier this year. I read 2 or 3 previous books by Rafia Zakaria, a book about her family, The Wife Above, I think it is called, and a book about the veil. And she is a very political writer, and yeah, I like her take, sometimes controversial take on things. And I feel that I'm a white feminist, obviously, and it's always good, to be confronted with the issues that you might have a blind spot for. So this one, Against White Feminism, is the second read that I want to pick up for the prompt industry. The next prompt is style. And I think that is the prompt that I had to use the least force to put the books into the prompt, because I have 2, and I chose them for the stylish cover and the stylish woman on the cover, these 2. And the first one is essay collection, Janet Winterson, 12 Bites. That was published earlier this year, and it's about artificial intelligence. Janet Winterson, is an English, Great Britain author, a UK author that I really admire. I've read almost all of her books. I think I have 1 or so left that I haven't gotten to yet. And I don't like everything she writes, but I love her body of work, and I will always read anything that she puts out. And in her fiction, she already explored a couple of times the issue of artificial intelligence. And now she has written an essay collection. So that is fantastic. And the other one with the stylish cover is this, Paulina Bren, The Barbizon, the New York Hotel that set women free. And this book was published last year, I believe. Let me check again. No, also this year. I'm sorry. And it's about the hotel, the Barbizon Hotel, which was established in New York in the early 1920s. And a lot of women who came to New York for various reasons, make a career, would stay there. Sylvia Plath stayed there because it was a hotel that sort of gave a safe haven to women who wanted to live in New York. And I bought this book at the beginning of the year or something and haven't gotten to it. So yes, style. And then the fourth and final prompt is treatment. And I think that the 2 books that I have for this that was the biggest stretch. I had 2 books left and they needed to fit in somewhere. So I quite pushed the imagination. But anyway, so treatment, how I see it, is in a word from the film industry. You present the story, and it's a translation, the first translation, if you will, from the idea to a story, and then you will have the script. So translated nonfiction. That is the way I interpret treatment, and it doesn't make sense at all. I know that. Don't worry about it. Translated nonfiction. There we go. So the first one I have is also a book for Mel's a book club from Mel's Bookland Adventures. That is the November pick, obviously, nonfiction. And that is How to Be a Fascist, a manual by Michela Murgia. Michela Murgia is an Italian author and activist, and the book has been translated from the Italian by Alex Valente, published last year in the English translation. And it's a very short, tiny little book, a satirical, obviously, manual, because the author is not an activist for fascism. But I wanted to read it anyway because of Mel's book club, and it is translated fiction, translated nonfiction. I'm sorry, and it sounded funny, so I have no idea what to expect, but I expect that there will be some humor in it, I hope, at least. And the second book is a book that I had been referring to earlier, all the way in the beginning, when I said, well, buddy reads 4, but actually 5, because the next one is also a buddy read with Heidi from My Reading Life, but it's also translated nonfiction, so it's going to go into for the prompt treatment, and that is this one, Atlas of Poetic Zoology by Emmanuel Puy-Debat, the illustrations by Julie Terrazzoni, and translated from the French by Eric Butler. Published in this translation last year, and I think the French original 2 years earlier or something, but you find the correct dates down in the description box. So this book, Heidi found this book, and I thought it was brilliant. Emmanuel Puy-Debat is a French scientist, researcher, and she works for the Natural History Museum in Paris, and her research area animals. And this is a book with short pieces, short essays about animals, and then illustrations. I'm not good at holding stuff into the camera, but this is it. So you have the text on one side here, and then the illustration, like this is about some bird. Anyway, I thought it was beautiful and exploring more, not only nonfiction, translated nonfiction, but also nature writing. So, and I'm sure Heidi can explain everything that I don't understand in this book. So these are my 2 books for treatment, and yes, I admit I really forced a round peg in a square hole, and I think I said that wrong in the beginning, but anyway, and maybe I already said that and repeating myself. You know, it's the weekend. These are my books for Nonfiction November. I will try to do what all, the cool booktubers do, and show you the whole stack, and that, I don't know whether that will work. Yeah, look at this. It's a bit too much for the camera. Oh, I have to go back. Yeah, I did it. I'm now part of the cool crowd. It's more a pile of possibilities, obviously, because it's a lot of books, and Buddyreads have priority as always, but I will do my best to get to all of them. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed it. Let me know whether you participate in Nonfiction November, whether you do anything with the prompts, and I'm looking forward to any other comments as usual. And I'll see you all soon in the next one.